guys? Welcome to the show. Here we got for you today is a not so well known knife. Doesn't get much love, but here I am. I want to touch on it because it served me well for the better part about 5 or 6 years. Carried this for a long time on duty. Pretty much stayed in my pants, in my locker, and every day that was in my pocket, ready to go. It's not the best, not the worst. It does have some positives and some negatives. You know, it's got some drawbacks that I'm going to touch on, but overall, it is a nice knife. I wanted to give a review on it, give you guys a heads up, because some people don't know about this one. It's not, you know, there's not a lot of reviews. No one really gets to see it. So here we are. I want to get into the meat and potatoes and check it out. This is a CRKT design, and it's called the Hissatsu. It's designed by James Williams. I guess he has some type of martial arts background, because it is some type of hybrid tanto. Now, I'm law enforcement, so I was looking for something that I could use every day, could take a beating, and it wasn't super expensive. This is around the $50 mark. Okay. I normally don't carry my super high-end knives while working, just because they get thrashed on. And while I do like the worn-in look, I'm always afraid I'm going to lose it while working, whether I'm running, jumping over a fence, or getting into something that you never know what's going to happen. And I'd rather lose the $50 knife than, the $200 knife, because I've definitely lost a couple. Lost the Sock Trident, I've lost Ontario Rat 1, so I've definitely lost some over the years. But this one, somehow it stayed in that pocket for 5-6 years. This is called the Hissatsu, if I didn't already mention it. One of the reasons I was drawn to this because it had this symmetrical styling, and it fit in the pocket pretty nice. It's relatively thin, but I love this symmetrical design from the front to the back, and the blade doesn't really stick out like maybe a Spyderco. Usually the blade sticks out where that Spidey hole comes out. This one is just a very sleek design, which I thought was pretty nice. This version is not G10. This is a fiberglass, an FRN fiberglass reinforced nylon. It does have these cool texturing on it, which is pretty nice. If I can get to focus on here. Has these raindrops all over it. That is worn in quite nice. You can kind of see there's some wearing right here, but overall the texturing stayed on there pretty well. It does not tear up the pocket, doesn't tear up the hands, but it provides really good grip. Even when wet. And you can see the wear and tear on this one has definitely gotten its use. The pocket clip, however, is not something super desirable. It's not deep carry. It is recessed in here, and it's ambidextrous. You pull at that screw, flip it around, and you got it there. The tension over the years has stayed. It's lost a little bit of it. It's worn in pretty well. Because it's recessed, it doesn't spin, but you can see here that over the years, you can see it moving around because the FRN I think this would happen with G10 too, but it's gotten beat up, so it has kind of worn out in the corners here, and it rocks back and forth, versus here it's still pretty square cut. This knife, CRKT does offer a couple of different styles in this style blade. There's a smaller version, a larger version, and one of those new versions where you can take them down and strip them, field strip them, which is kind of cool. But overall, this one is almost a 4-inch blade, and it's kind of heavy though. It weighs about 5.8 ounces, and then the bigger one is a 4.5-inch blade and weighs like 6.5 ounces. They are big blades. It does have full liners that are not skeletonized. That is a downside, but you're paying $50, paying for a $50 knife. If you want to take it apart and drill those out, by all means. I never found it too obtrusive to carry in my pocket. Most of the time, actually, that little bit of weight was actually nice in my pocket. I knew it was there, and it does kind of like sit right underneath my firearm, so it kind of kept it snug in the pants. This one is assisted. I'm not sure if the larger one is. I know the smaller one, I don't believe is assisted, but I know this is the assisted one. It has a torsion bar in the back here, which is removable. You can see it where it sticks out here in the pommel. It's a torsion bar that goes from the blade all the way to the pommel and provides torsional rigidity. So as you start to deploy the knife, it then is assisted on its way out, and it does deploy with a significant amount of force, which is nice because you know it's coming out. This knife does take a little bit of, I want to say, it's not the easiest to open. It does have a small disc plate on the top here. It does have good jipping, have traction on it. It's small, it's ambidextrous, and it's never come loose. You see the blade's got some nice wear and tear on it over the years. But anyone I've handed this to, even some well-known knife guys, they first couple times it takes them a little bit to get used to it, but overall it takes it's not something you can really kind of snap out. It does have it's in there pretty tight. It doesn't want to shake loose, and if you try to shake it out, it's pretty hard to do. So to get it to deploy, it takes a little technique. It's not super hard, it's not the easiest, but it's not the end of the world. Once you get the hang of it, it comes right out with authority. Let's watch that again. That snaps out real good. So that torsion bar, you could see right in here how it rides the back of the knife, and then as you start to open it, gets to the point right about here where it's going to just take over and snap out. And it works really good. Sometimes it takes a little cleaning, a little bit of oil, not much, and it works good. It's a pretty maintenance-free knife. This one is a liner lock. The liner is not, it's about average. It's not very stout, but it does have no issues. Obviously, it's still working fine. It's not bent over. CRKT does provide their safety lock here. A lot of people don't like this because it's just another obstacle to overcome. Basically, it tries to keep, you can see it in here, the little bar in there that prevents the liner from sliding over all the way. That's about as far as it'll go. And you cannot close the knife because there's a little indent. It's hard to see here with a light. There's a little indent right there. You can see it moving just barely. That prevents the liner from sliding over. But you can still do it one-handed. Index finger on the safety lock. Thumb pushes over the liner, and it'll close up one-handed. Just like that. Practice it once or twice, or just a couple times. You'll get the hang of it. It's not a big deal. These are full steel liners in here, like I was saying, and they're not milled out whatsoever. If you want to take it apart, Torx bits all around. This pivot point is pretty big. I mean, this is a pretty big screw right here that helps with its strength, and its stop pins right there. Obviously, it does not go all the way through. It's recessed into the FRN handle. The lock up and down, not a thing. Left to right, very faint, very, very faint. And I have not adjusted this thing since I first got it. So that's how actually well it works pretty good. Caught my finger there. I do not believe there's phosphor bronze bushings in here. Actually there is. There is phosphor bronze bushings in there. I don't know if you could see it in there. Should get a light, but there are phosphor bronze bushings there, which is actually nice. No wonder it stayed pretty smooth over these years. It's not the smoothest. Some of my spider codes are much smoother, but then again, I haven't cleaned this thing in a year. The blade steel is Os-8. It's not the best. Some people hate Os-8, but for me at work, for thrashing on it and not having to worry about it, I'm okay with the Os-8. I'm a big fan of obviously the higher end steels, but you get what you pay for. You're gonna throw S30, S35 VN, or M4 in there. The price point's definitely gonna go up. But for a work knife, it definitely gets its use. It's pretty thick blade here to the tip. Okay, tip gets relatively fine, but it's still backed up pretty well. I've never had it. Alright, sorry about that. The camera cut off real quick. We had to make some space on the memory disk here. But we were talking about the blade here. Well, it does come to a fine point, which is good for some, maybe digging in for some splinters and some fine work. It is backed up by a pretty stout blade. Has some contours on it, some blade shape, everything. Has this funky tanto. I have reground it a little bit, and you can see right here is where that second point used to be. So it does provide for, supposedly, for good penetration and stabbing. From my use, yeah, I mean, it works no better and no worse than some others. I haven't tried stabbing through body armor or anything like that, but I'm sure it'll work to a point. Again, it goes back to how much you really want to trust the aligner lock, but overall, I've been pretty satisfied with this knife. If I had a deep carry, it'd be a little bit better, and if it was a little bit lighter, it'd be great. The smaller version of the knife, which I believe is the Halo, I think it's like a 3-inch blade. It's gonna have G10 handles and a little bit deeper pocket clip carry, but not much. And then they have this Goken is what they call it. Is going to be that takedown, that field strip technology. Same blade shape, with G10 handles, and then there's that Otanashi, which is just extremely large style knife, which is a 4.5-inch blade with a frame lock on it. And overall, I think that knife is like a little over 10 inches. So it's pretty big, and it weighs 6.5 ounces. And this one weighs 6 ounces itself. So, but overall, that's the review. Take a look at it, pick it up, go for it. It actually fits in the pocket really nice. It's one of the reasons I always carry it, just because it was so symmetrical. That was the selling point on me. CRKT, you want to upgrade this steel and skeletonize the liners in there, and have a G10 version, deeper pocket clip. I know the Otanashi, I think, has that deep pocket clip, but then you really have a winner. But overall, I still love this knife, and if I had to buy it again, I'd buy it again. But this is not a collector piece for me. This is a workhorse. So signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Later.